You've seen it, right? The flashing lights, the twisted metal, a car crash. It always feels so random, just a horrible moment of bad luck. But what if it's not random at all? What if car crashes are actually predictable? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see how traffic engineers are basically road detectives, hunting for clues to stop these things before they even happen.
So yeah, let's start right there with that big question. When two cars collide, is it just a case of terrible timing, wrong place, wrong time? Or is there something else going on?
Well, if you ask an engineer, the answer is a huge no. It's not just bad luck. What looks like random chaos to us is actually a pattern, and this map shows it perfectly. See how those dots, the crashes, aren't just scattered everywhere? They're all bunched up in specific spots. They're telling us a story.
And that leads us right into our first big idea, this hunt for what engineers call black spots. Yeah, it's a grim name, but it fits. These are the places where the same kind of accident happens again and again.
Okay, so the main takeaway here is that crashes don't just happen anywhere. They really do concentrate in these specific hazardous locations. It could be a tricky intersection, a curve you can't see around, or maybe a stretch of road with confusing signs. And an engineer's first job is to find these clusters.
And this is where it gets really interesting. This quote from the source material just nails it. When engineers dig into the data for these black spots, they find common threads. Sure, maybe a driver made a mistake, but very often, the road's design itself is what caused that mistake. The road is practically setting people up to fail. So, if these danger zones are out there, how do engineers actually find them? Well, it all starts with making the problem visual. They literally put it on a map so the patterns can just pop right out.
Their number one tool for this is called crash mapping. It's exactly what it sounds like. They take all the data from accident reports and plot it on a map, just like that first image we looked at. But this is way more than just dots on a page. It shows them the hotspots, and, this is key, it tells them what kind of crash is happening. Are people getting rear-ended all the time, or is it all about dangerous left turns? Each type of crash is a huge clue.
All right, so once they've found the hotspots, things get a lot more organized. Finding the problem is step one, but fixing it, that takes a real systematic strategy.
And that strategy is often part of what's called a Hazardous Road Location Program, or HRL for short. The easiest way to think about it is like the official playbook for road safety. It's the step-by-step guide that takes them from, uh-oh, this spot is dangerous, all the way to, okay, here's exactly how we're going to fix it.
And what's cool is that this isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. There are actually 4 different ways they can tackle a problem. They can zoom in and fix just one really bad intersection, or they can go broad with what's called mass action, like, say, fixing the same bad sign at every single railroad crossing in town. They can even treat a whole road or improve an entire neighborhood at once.
So, the engineer knows what's wrong and where it's happening. Now for the how. What tools do they actually have in their toolkit to fix these things?
Well, when it comes to those nightmare intersections, a lot of the fixes are surprisingly simple. Seriously, is a giant bush blocking everyone's view? Trim the bush. Are people constantly running a red light? Maybe the yellow light is just too short. Bad street lighting, a stop sign that should be there but isn't, these are all things an engineer can fix, and they can make a huge difference.
And of course, it's not just about cars. What about pedestrians? The toolkit has answers for that too. We're talking about things like really bright, obvious crosswalks, or those little islands in the middle of a big road so you can cross one half at a time. Even something as simple as banning parking right at a corner can make it way easier to see what's coming. Every fix is designed to prevent a very specific kind of accident.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Modern road safety isn't about moving cars as fast as possible anymore. It's about protecting the most vulnerable people out there, the ones walking, biking, just trying to get around.
Think about this for a second. The average person walks somewhere between 3 and 8 feet per second. And for someone older or with a disability, it's even slower. So when you're designing a crosswalk, how long does that little walking person signal need to stay on? You have to give people enough time to actually make it across. It seems like a small detail, but that number can literally be the difference between life and death.
It's the exact same story with cyclists. You can't just slap some paint on the side of a 45-mile-per-hour road and call it a bike lane. Engineers know there are different kinds of cyclists out there. You've got your Class A road warriors who are comfortable mixing with cars, but let's be real, most of us are Class B or C. We're just trying to get to work or ride with our kids. We need a separate, protected bike lane to feel safe, and good design has to be for us.
And these pictures show it perfectly. Context is everything. What works for a bike lane on a quiet country road is totally wrong for a busy downtown street. The goal is always safety, but the solution has to fit the place. It has to be smart.
So what's next? Well, the basic idea of finding and fixing these black spots has been around for a while. But the tools they use to do it? Oh man, they're changing at lightning speed.
Today's road detectives have some seriously powerful tech, and it's letting them shift from being reactive, waiting for accidents to happen and then fixing the spot, to being proactive. They can actually use data to predict where the next trouble spot is going to be and fix it before anyone gets hurt.
So what does this new toolkit look like? Well, we're talking about high-tech mapping software that can find those black spots with pinpoint accuracy. There's even software that lets engineers build a virtual, kind of video game-like version of an intersection. They can test out all their ideas on the computer before they ever have to shut down a real street. It is a completely new ballgame for road safety. So I'll leave you with this. Now that you know how to read the road like an engineer, I want you to look around on your daily commute. That intersection you hate, that street you're nervous to cross. What do you see? What patterns are there? You might be surprised at the dangers and the solutions that are hiding in plain sight now that you know what to look for.